Hey guys, Rick Stone here from our Stoney Acres. Welcome to our YouTube channel. Today, I am going to be telling you about 20 different crops that you can be planting in August for fall and even winter harvests, okay? So, this video is designed for those of you that kind of live in the middle zones. So maybe as low as 4, so 4, 5, 6, and 7. But more important than your garden zone is your frost date. And the time you're going to be planting these crops is not really based on your garden zone. It's based on when your first fall frost is. So really this video is designed for people whose first fall frost lands somewhere in the month of October, anywhere from the 1st to the 31st. If that's when your frost lands, this video is for you. And even for those of you whose first frost sneaks into November, you're going to be able to tweak what we're talking about here just a little bit and do some planting as well. So there are quite a few things that we can be planting in August. But before we get started, make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click the notification bell so you get notice every time I release new videos. Go follow us over on Instagram as well. I would love to have you join us there. We've doubled in size over there recently, and I'd love to have you come and be with us. And make sure you stick around. At the end of this video, I am going to be talking to you a little bit about a 14-day free trial that we have going on right now with the Gardening Academy. So there's a little more info for you down in the description on that as well. Okay, so August is kind of a transition month in my garden. So we're starting to pull out a lot of the one-time harvest crops. So, you know, like my garlic just came out, my onions, we're harvesting some of those today, and then another batch will come out here within the next, week and a half, 2 weeks or so. We're starting to harvest potatoes, and so all of a sudden we're starting to see open spots in our garden, and we want to refill those with crops that we can harvest in the fall. So I've got a list of different crops, and I've kind of categorized them into 3 different groups. Those that we're going to be planting by transplants, those that we're going to be direct seeding in the garden, and those that we could either start indoors or outdoors, okay? So we'll kind of go through each of those. So let's start with the ones that we should be planting by transplant, and this would essentially be the cabbage family. So anything in the cabbage family, which would include cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, kohlrabi, and Brussels sprouts, okay? All of those crops ought to be put out using transplants, and you should be planning on putting those transplants out about 6 weeks before your first frost date. So for me, my first frost date is usually right around October 1st, and so I will be putting those transplants out in my garden roughly August 15th. Now there is some flexibility there. If your temperatures are still screaming hot, you might put it off for a week or two, but right around that time frame of 6 weeks before your first frost is when you are going to want to put those transplants out into your garden. So next on our list are some crops that we should be directly seeding in the garden for sure. And that would be our root crops. So this would be things like carrots, turnips, beets, and even radishes. We should be putting those in about 6 to 8 weeks before our first frost date, directly seeded out into the garden. Now, with radishes, I would hold off a little bit longer than with the beets and the carrots and the turnips. Radishes are very sensitive to the heat, and so you want to make sure that that really intense heat has kind of broken before you start putting your radishes in. So maybe the radishes are going to go in towards the end of August, where the others for you might be going in somewhere, the 1st to the middle of August. So again, carrots, beets, turnips, and radishes are next, and those should all be direct seeded out into the garden. Our last group of crops are those that could be either directly seeded out in the garden, or if you wanted to, you could sneak them in indoors and get them started that way. So if you think about your garden in August, mine's still got a lot of stuff. All of my tomatoes, my peppers, my squash, they're all growing and maturing, my potatoes. So I don't have a lot of space yet out in the garden. And so these crops could be, if you have the space, they could be directly seeded in the garden. If not, then you can start them indoors. And our target time frame on all of these, again, is 6 to 8 weeks before your first frost date. Planting them out in the garden by seed or starting them indoors by seed. either way, same difference. You would be then transplanting them out about 6 or 8 weeks later when there's more space in your garden. And so that's kind of our target on these next crop. So here's our list: kale, collards, Swiss chard, lettuce, spinach, bok choy, tatsoi, arugula, parsley, and cilantro. Okay, all of those, if you have the space, can be direct seeded in your garden in August. If you don't have the space, then get them started indoors 6 to 8 weeks before your first frost date. That's our target time on either one of those. Okay, now before we go, really quick, let's talk a little bit about what the conditions in our garden are like in August, right? It's hot still, okay? These are all traditionally cool season crops, and we want them to mature when the cool weather starts to arrive. But right now it's still pretty warm. I mean, we may still have 100-degree temperatures in August, and so we have to do a little extra babying with these crops to make sure that they get well established during the month of August. So the first thing you want to do is make sure that you provide them with extra water. So whether it's before they germinate or after, they are going to need extra support and extra moisture just because it's so dang hot right now. So more than what you would be used to giving, you know, lettuces and leafy greens and stuff like that in the springtime. You know, in August when we're planting these, you are going to have to give them some extra water. The next thing that I would recommend is mulch. So as soon as those get up and start growing, I would mulch around them. You can use, you know, just something simple like compost or maybe even just grass clippings, but get some mulch down. That's going to help keep the temperature of the soil down, and it's also going to help to keep the moisture in the soil. The next thing you'll want to consider is some type of sun protection. So you can do this with either some shade cloth, or you can even use just some light fabric row cover to throw over the tops of these crops to help shade them, and again keep those temperatures down just a little bit. That will help them to progress and to do well. And then the last thing that you'll want to consider, especially with like your root crops, your beets, your carrots, turnips, things like that, is maybe a little bit of a germination aid. So something like maybe some burlap put out over the top of those to help them germinate. You know, any of the tricks that you know to help get those germination, that early germination happening, you want to do those so that we can get them up and get them established and growing quickly here during the heat of August. That's all I have for you for this week. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the notification bell so you get notice every time I release new videos. Go follow us over on Instagram as well. I'd love to have you join there. Thanks for sticking around till the end of the video. Before you go, make sure that you go and check out the Gardening Academy. So the Gardening Academy is our monthly subscription service. It's a great place for you to go and learn more about gardening. We have literally almost 30 courses there for you to watch. Mini courses and full-length courses. We do planting guides every month. We have a live Q&A every month. It's a great place to learn. It's also a great way to support our channel here at Stoney Acres. So I'd love to have you go and join us over there. And right now we're offering a free 14-day trial for you to try it out. So there's a link down in the description you can click on. That'll teach you a lot more about what we're doing over there in the Gardening Academy, and then you can sign up for free for 14 days. Now, a little warning, 60% of the people that sign up for the free trial end up staying because they like it so much. So again, I would love to have you come and join us. Click on that link down below. Okay, that's all I have for you for this week, guys. Everybody have a fantastic week. Happy gardening.